Hello everyone. Today I am again here with one more session on multiple pregnancy. In the previous session in multiple pregnancy, we talked about the varieties of the twins pregnancy. Today we'll talk about first etiology of twins pregnancy. The exact cause for twins pregnancy is not known. Frequency of monozygotic twins remains constant throughout the world. Dizygotic twins largely vary in incidence throughout the world due to certain reasons. Now let's see which are these reasons. First reason is the race. Incidence is highest among Negroes, lowest in Mongolians, and intermediate in Europeans and Indians. Twins pregnancy is also found in heredity. Influence of mother being one of the twins is more than that of the father in genetic transmission of the twinning. That means if mother is one of the twins of her mother, then daughter is more likely to get twins pregnancy or multiple pregnancy. Marital age and parity. Incidence increases with maternal age above 35 and increasing parity with 4 or more. So in the multipara patient, the multiple pregnancy will be more. Ovulation inducing agents. HCG induced pregnancy is more to produce multiple pregnancy. For the anovulatory cycles, when the woman is taking the ovulation inducing agents or the girl has used such agents to get the ovulation, to get the ovulatory cycle, then multiple pregnancy is more common in them. Now let's see the clinical features. First we see the symptoms. Minor ailments of pregnancy are often exaggerated. Because the woman is carrying more than one fetus, all the ailments are exaggerated. They are in the more severe form. May be related to undue enlargement of the uterus. These exaggerated ailments of the pregnancy are due to undue means unnecessary, more than usual enlargement of the uterus. Increased nausea and vomiting in early months. Cardiorespiratory distress or embarrassment. Because there is undue enlargement of the uterus, it also causes undue enlargement of the abdomen. That's why this cardiorespiratory distress also starts earlier. It is more evident in the later months due to undue enlargement of abdomen and anemia. So these two factors cause cardiorespiratory distress. The woman also gets palpitation, breathlessness or shortness of breath due to cardiorespiratory distress. Also the woman gets varicose veins, hemorrhoids. These are the pressure effects because of the two fetuses, more pressure on the lower veins, more pressure on the, you can say, the rectum and anus, and that will cause hemorrhoids. Symptoms of the preeclampsia like edema, feet or legs may be present from second trimester. So pressure effects or the symptoms of the preeclampsia starts earlier. Unusual rate of abdominal enlargement and excessive fetal movements. The Paras woman experiences more fetal movements than earlier single pregnancy, and that is noticed by the Paras woman, Paras mother, right? So that is also presented by the pregnant woman. Now we come to the signs. You can divide the signs into two groups: general signs, the signs which you find on the abdominal examination, and the signs that is seen on the vaginal examination. Now let's first see the general signs. Patient is usually anemic because the patient is supplying nutrition to the two fetuses. Patient is usually anemic if not taking iron-rich food in her diet. Edema feet, hypertension, proteinuria, excessive weight gain, then other than edema or obesity is suggestive. Patient complains of excessive weight gain, or whenever you measure the patient's weight regularly, you will find that the weight gain is more than usual. right? And this weight gain is not due to edema, not due to the obesity. So that is suggestive of the twins pregnancy. Now what we find on abdominal examination. First we see the inspection. Abdomen unduly enlarged since second trimester. Palpation, fundal height at higher level. It is at higher level than duration of the pregnancy because of the presence of two fetuses. Two relatively small heads, either both below head brim or one below and the other at fundus. It depends on whether both are vertex or one vertex and the other breech, right? So depending on that you will find the fetal presenting part per abdomen. Palpation of too many fetal parts, right? More than one fetal part is present, and that is helpful for diagnosis. On auscultation, two FHS at a difference of 10 beats per minute at two sites of maximum intensity. At two sites per abdomen you can find the FHS at the maximum intensity. Normally when the single pregnancy is there, what you will find, at one location the FHS are most intense. At the nearby other sites you can find the FHS, but that will be not that stronger which you find at the original site. But here you will find the strong FHS with the same intensity at the two different sites. That is suggestive of the twins pregnancy. Palpation and auscultation practically is difficult due to hydramnios. Twins pregnancy is usually associated with hydramnios. So due to hydramnios you cannot palpate easily. Fetal parts are not well palpated. Also it is difficult to auscultate to get FHS, right? Now we come to vaginal examination. It is helpful in some cases. One head may be felt deep in the pelvis while other is located at the brim or fundus, and that is palpated on per abdomen examination. So on vaginal examination you can palpate one fetal presenting part and the other fetus presenting part may be at the fundus that you have palpated per abdomen, right? Ultrasonography is also helpful in diagnosis of or in detection of the twins pregnancy. Whenever the clinical findings are suggestive of twins pregnancy, you should confirm your diagnosis with ultrasonography. So ultrasonography confirms your diagnosis of twins pregnancy. It is useful for diagnosis at earlier period. Two gestational or fetal sacs are detected as early as 7th week of pregnancy. Sometimes one sac may vanish, it may disappear, which needs repeat USG for confirmation. Sometimes it happens in the earlier months of the pregnancy that the one fetal sac disappear automatically, spontaneously. So at that time repeat USG is needed to confirm whether the other sac has vanished, it has disappeared. The two fetal heads with their dimensional measurement can be detected by 14th week of pregnancy. Placental assessment on USG is done between 16 to 24 weeks. To assess IUGR, repeated USG is done at 2 to 3 weeks interval during second half of pregnancy, right? Only for one time USG you cannot detect IUGR. Whenever there is growth retardation, regularly you should go for repeat USG. Now we come to differential diagnosis. The twins pregnancy should be differentiated from any other such condition which causes undue enlargement of the abdomen. Undue means unnecessary. So any other condition in which also there is unnecessary enlargement of the abdomen must be differentiated from twins pregnancy. Such conditions are large single fetus. The fetus is not average sized, but the fetus is large. So these also causes undue enlargement of the abdomen. Hydramnios, collection of the excessive amniotic fluid, that is also leading to undue enlargement of the abdomen. Pregnancy with ovarian cyst or uterine fibroid, These extra growths in the uterus or in the ovaries may causes undue enlargement of the abdomen. So these must be differentiated from twins pregnancy, or you can say multiple pregnancy. Now we come to the complications. There are two groups of the complications, maternal and fetal complication. Maternal complications can occur during pregnancy, during labor, or during puerperium. We'll discuss all these complications in detail one by one. So let's first start with maternal complications during pregnancy. Nausea and vomiting with increased frequency and severity. The frequency of the morning sickness also increases and the severity also increases. Anemia due to increased iron and folate requirement. So there is increased demand of nutritive substances, but they may not be supplied, and that will result into deficit of those nutrients and will mainly lead to anemia. Deficiency of the folic acid increases the incidence of megaloblastic anemia. So when the demand is not supplied from outside, it will result into deficiency. Preeclampsia. It is more common in multipara, 3 times more common than in the single pregnancy. Preeclampsia is 3 times more common in multiple pregnancy than in the single pregnancy. Another complication is hydramnios. It is 10 times more common than in the single pregnancy. It is more common in uniovular twins, because in the uniovular twins, amniotic sac is only one. So that will lead to hydramnios. Especially it is more common in the second sac. Premature rupture of membrane. This will lead to premature onset of labor, because if you have remembered the causes of the onset of the labor, the rupture of the membrane acts as stimulus for the onset of the labor. So when the membranes rupture, very shortly labor will also start, and that is why membranes are rupturing, due to over distension of the uterus, right? Another complication is APH. Mainly there occurs placenta previa due to bigger size of the placenta extending up to lower segment. When there is bichorionic, when there are two placenta occupy larger surface of uterine wall, and sometimes placenta may extend up to the lower uterine segment, and that will result into placenta previa. Malpresentations are more common in the second fetus. Malformation of the fetus, more commonly conjoined fetus, where both the fetuses are attached physically at one of the body parts. Mechanical distress is also common, that is because of the presence of the two fetuses, like palpitation, dyspnea, varicosities and hemorrhoids. Maternal complications during labor. We come to the other group of the complication. We discussed maternal complications during pregnancy. Now we are coming to maternal complications during labor. Cord prolapse due to early rupture of membranes. It is 5 types more common. It is more common in the second fetus. Prolonged labor. It may not occur practically, because in twins pregnancy both the fetuses are almost smaller in the size, not average size. So even though the two fetuses are present, because the fetuses are smaller in the size, it will not prolong the overall duration of the labor. Increased operative interference due to increased incidence of malpresentation. Nowadays, whenever the malpresentation is detected, doctors decide to go for cesarean section. And even though normal delivery is attempted, the patient may need to go for the forceps delivery. So operative interference chances increases due to the malpresentation. And malpresentation is likely to occur in the twins pregnancy. Another complication is postpartum hemorrhage. It is due to atonia of uterine muscles due to over distension. Longer time taken by the big placenta to separate, and that also leads to PPH, bigger surface of placenta exposing more uterine sinuses. Because the placenta extends to the bigger surface of uterine wall, more sinuses get open when placenta separates. So these we discuss complications during labor. Now we come to complications during puerperium. Subinvolution due to bigger size of the uterus. The uterus may not regain the original pre-pregnant size completely because of the bigger size of the uterus during pregnancy. That was due to presence of two fetuses. Infection may occur in the uterus due to increased operative interference, that is especially when the aseptic precautions are not taken. Pre-existing anemia and blood loss during delivery may lead to infection. Now we come to the other part of complication, that are the fetal complications. Premature birth, that we discuss one of the complications, maternal complications during pregnancy. There may be premature rupture of the membrane which shortly causes premature onset of the labor. So when the labor is premature, the fetus is also prematurely born. So premature birth. Then IUGR, growth retardation. IUD, that is fetal death in the uterus. It is intrauterine fetal death. It may result into different conditions. First condition is fetus papyraceous or fetus compressus. It is a state where one fetus dies earlier and gets mummified due to absorption of the fluids, amniotic fluids. The dead fetus is compressed and flattened by the growing fetus. So when the one fetus dies, that dead fetus is flattened by the growing fetus. The dead fetus is compressed in between the membranes of alive uterus and the uterine wall. Between the membranes of the live fetus and uterine wall, the dead fetus is compressed, and so the dead fetus is flattened. It develops in the uniovular twins in the second trimester, especially after 14 weeks of the pregnancy. When the fetal death occurs, it results into fetus papyraceous. If the fetal death occurs before 14 weeks, then affected fetus, the dead fetus, simply vanishes by resorption. The dead fetus disappears, it vanishes by resorption. If death of the fetus occurs in late pregnancy, there may be death of the other fetus too, affecting the maternal health. So when in the late pregnancy one fetus dies, following death of one fetus, the other fetus may also die, and this will damage the mother's health. The death may occur due to cord compression, competition for nourishment, and congenital malformation. So these may be the causes for fetal death. Fetal anomalies. They are more common in uniovular twins. Now which fetal anomalies can occur? Anencephaly, that is head is not there, absence of the head. Hydrocephalus, head is full of fluid, or there is fluid collection in the head. Down syndrome may develop. Asphyxia and stillbirth are more common due to increased incidence of preeclampsia, malpresentation, operative interference. So these conditions increases the risk of asphyxia and the stillbirth. These conditions are preeclampsia, malpresentation, and the operative interference. The second fetus is more at risk. So these we talked about the complications of twins pregnancy. We'll talk about further in the next session. I hope you have understood the topic. You have been more clear in the twins pregnancy with this session. Thank you.